Welcome back to the Fan Forum podcast. We got Hitch with us today. He finally figured out how to work his computer. Hitch,
Good afternoon.
how we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm real good. It is a nice sunny afternoon here in Detroit, Michigan. We got some basketball on the TV. I just got done with Jason's basketball and soccer all day, so I am ready to sit down and talk about sports.
Yeah. We had a good group over here last night. Slept in today. Still feeling the effects, but we're going to have a nice Saturday. It's, like you said, it's beautiful out here, dude. I'm sitting out here in shorts. We got the fan on. It's awesome.
Isn't that nice? Reminded me of being back in Florida. I was able to wear shorts today with a little pullover and nice breeze from the lake, and it really was perfect.
How was Florida, by the way? I saw all those pictures.
It was actually really nice. We had, I would say, perfect weather, 85, sunny, a nice breeze the whole time. There was no traffic going down, coming back. We had something going on every day, though, man. We were, the kids got to go parasailing, and we got to see a baby shark in the water. Like,
Nice.
came right up to me. I don't know,
Wow.
you got to check my Facebook out, but what else?
You do any
Ate
fishing?
a lot of good food. No, my father-in-law did. He went and caught, shit, I don't even remember what he caught. Actually, hold on. We can pull
a
it.
charter?
Yeah, he's been doing these charters down there. Like I said, they've been going for the last 30 years. And he pulled... Hold on, I'm going to pull it up. He pulled up some nice ones years ago, but now when we go, and I don't know that much about deep sea fishing in Florida, but the weather just isn't ideal for what he likes to catch. He likes to go out and catch the big ones, and I don't know if you're watching and you know anything about deep sea fishing. Apparently it's not the best time anymore. So he gets, it's for the fun anyways. He likes the fight and the battle, and he does one of that one day. And then what did we do? We went to the water park when he did that. Took Jason and them.
Nice. Sounds like a good trip.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I think I got his fishing picture on here. I want to find it now. So what's good with you? How's life been?
Oh, good, man. Like I said, we had a blast last night. We probably had, at one point, 10 or plus people over in the shop, and Bob brought over a bunch of venison. He had backstraps and loin and steaks that he had to cook up. He had this venison sausage that his cousin had made that was like some of the best sausage I've ever had. Eric's
Nice.
here in the background making a drooling noise about talking about that sausage.
That's good sausage, eh?
Yeah, dude, it was this long, man. It looked like we were grilling a snake. It was awesome.
Ooh.
And then my brother-in-law came down with a twice smoked ham, and we just drank a bunch of beer and watched hockey, and we had a blast. Played some darts.
Did you give him the gear that you've yet to buy him?
I showed him the hat. I got my hat. Let me show you.
Okay. Yeah, there's no reason to wear it the right way. Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, the camo pattern is like a legit camo, and you can read the embroidery pretty clearly. It's what are these? I think it was $24 or something plus shipping. So I got this in a koozie that is somewhere. I'll find it, but the Steal Your Face koozie, the hat. So I'm very pleased with the quality of the apparel so far. Oh, is it up here? Yeah, here it is. This is dope. This is so if anybody wants anything, I don't know, but Mark, you can basically put anything you want, right? Put our logo on anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I've just, for anyone listening, I've just taken some of the stuff that we've made over the last month or so with some of the logo changes and some of the Hitch stuff that we've been able
Yeah.
to make up. Oh, here's your
There it
ad.
is.
Yeah, 25
Yeah.
bucks. We got mugs. You know, my mother-in-law had the wine tumbler, and she loves it. She says it keeps her glass or her shit
I was
nice
going to
and
ask
cold.
you if you've bought anything. I knew you had the tumbler.
I am going to actually probably tonight order myself a hoodie,
Yeah,
and some shorts.
nice.
But yeah, and then it's got links to all of our latest episodes on here too. So this is on the YouTube page. It's through Fourth Wall.
Man, you're
But yeah, I
making
can
us
make anything.
you're making us legit. All we need is listeners now.
We got 114 on YouTube, and I think we have I don't know, 20 or 30 on Spotify. Excuse me.
Nice.
So we're getting up there.
Bob runs that
just-
Twitter or not Twitter, X or whatever you call it now. He runs that for us, and I want to say that we have like 1,000+ subscribers on the X, and then the fan forum has like almost 4,000 members. So we just gotta do about. I gotta do a better job of sharing the episodes and getting more listeners. But we got numbers.
Yeah, and if everybody that listens, I think a lot of people that started listening from the get-go, they haven't hit the subscribe button. Nick Lavati was one. He's like, I listen every week. I'm like, no, I know, but hit that button, because that's how I know, who actually is following. And honestly, the bigger we get, the more we fall into the algorithm.
Oh yeah.
So to me, that's the fun part, is hearing people say that our shorts pop up in random times in their YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, my nephew hit me the other day. He's not a huge football fan and kind of a Detroit hockey guy, but not a big sports fan in general. And we were in his alga. He watched a little bit, and his takeaway was, "Wow, you guys aren't just talking like all Lions all the time, So we're trying to mix it up in the off season." So I mean, there's not a ton to talk about.
We're gonna do
right
an
now
episode just on the Power Rangers. Do some Power.
We'll have to get John to weigh in. He's got some Power Rangers trivia on lockdown.
It would give me a reason to buy the helmet. Like, I always wanted to buy the actual Power Rangers helmet.
Oh yeah.
And they have them for sale at what the hell, GameStop. Sometimes if you ever walk into GameStop, on one of the walls they'll have a lot of pop culture, pop Funko things, and they'll have, it's not all the time the same stuff, so it'll rotate out, but sometimes it's Harry Potter shit, Transformers, but for a while they had Power Rangers stuff, and it was like the original ones we watched, the helmet, and I'm thinking, man, for $120 one day, I'm just going to buy that thing.
Dude, I was watching this movie the other night, and bear with me because this goes straight back to the Power Rangers, but I actually thought about you because this movie was awesome. It had Bob Hoskins, Eddie from Roger Rabbit, and it was it was a British movie, and they compared it to like the British version of The Godfather, and it was a awesome movie. I actually thought about you when I was watching it, but there was this actor in it. He had a very small but like impactful part, and I kept thinking, this guy's a good actor. Like, how come I recognize this guy? Who is it? I recognize him, and I IMDb'd it, and it was fucking Zordon. I'd never seen him in like anything else, but then I started reading, and he's had a lot of big parts and a lot of bit parts in a lot of big movies, and it kind of shocked me that Zordon is an actual classically trained Shakespearean British actor.
Speaking of Zordon, I think I popped someone's bubble. I want to say it was Bob or Lavati. We were talking about the Power Rangers. Shocking. And did you know that 90% of that show is just recycled clips from a Japanese show?
Oh, yeah.
Super Sentai.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
all
a complete
they did was
rip-off.
do the... Yeah. I mean, they had the footage of all the battle scenes in the suits, and it was, let's just find some teenagers, pay them nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. And record for, I don't know, a couple hours a month and splice an episode together.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Huh. Well, let's talk some football.
Did you see that Derek Carr is retiring, Hitch?
Is he really?
He's retiring.
The shoulder?
Yeah, they announced
the
it
shoulder
today.
got him?
Looks like it. It sounds like he's going to miss this entire season because of a shoulder injury. And he forego... Wait, was it $30 million he gave up guaranteed, but he does get 10 million. So yeah, he's done. 34 years old, had 11 years. Um, I always liked him. I was really rooting for him to have um, kind of that special season. He got close,
Yeah,
but
he's always been like, I don't know, what I would consider maybe a quality starter, not the big fantasy guy, not the obviously no rings. Shit, did he even win a
yeah,
playoff game in 11 years? Probably not.
I don't even think so.
But huh.
He started at least 15 games in each of his 10 first seasons. He did suffer a fractured fibula in week 16 of the 16 campaign for the Raiders. Let's see. He was selected. He was a second rounder in 14. He's their all-time leading passer,
Yeah.
if that means
I
anything.
mean, 11 years is a good
Um,
run. I guess I didn't realize he was in the league that long for a journeyman. Like I said,
Yeah, it's
quality
not
starter,
bad.
11 years. But then, you got guys like Joe Flacco that are still playing. But I guess it's just
Well,
the
it's funny you
shoulder.
say that. He finished his career ranked 22nd in both passing yards and passing touchdowns, tied with Joe
Ah,
Flacco.
okay. All right. Interesting.
So, ironically, now that he's gone, the 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 Browns are going to be linked to anybody who needs a
Oh, for
quarterback because
sure.
the Browns have 16 quarterbacks on the roster.
Right.
So, um, yeah,
So who's going to be their starter
it'll be.
then?
That's a good question.
Huh.
I mean, what would you do if you're them? Are you going to look to the Browns to trade for a quarterback?
I mean, honestly, I would look to anybody. I would talk to anybody that called, right? But I'm not. They're not giving up Shador. If Flacco would be a one season kind of
What the
stopgap.
hell? If the Saints wanted Shador, if any of these teams wanted Shador, they would have drafted him. No one's going to trade for Shador now.
Right, and it would just make absolutely no sense for anybody to give up more than a fifth, and they're not going to take what they paid for him. So I don't know
No,
who else.
I mean they've got Spencer Rattler on their roster right now. He's the
the
only one worth naming.
the Giants have three QBs, but I don't think Russell's going to want to go. I don't think they would trade Russell. I don't.
Again, they
Jameis
would've went out
isn't
and
going to
got
go.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Jameis isn't going to go back. So I mean, Rodgers is out there, right?
He is, but again, the fanfare and the money that he's going to demand, the Saints strike me as an organization that are going to play with a guy like Spencer Rattler or just find another journeyman and find something in the draft next year. Ever since Drew Brees left, they haven't been in a hurry to find their next franchise quarterback. I mean, am I wrong?
No, and you see teams all over the league doing this now. Like the Russell Wilsons of the world are just picking a new team every year. You see what the Seahawks just did. It is okay for them to maybe give Rattler another go around. I mean, that guy had a huge ceiling, right? At a point in time, a few years back, Rattler was projected to be a top five pick in his draft, and then he's another one like the Ball brothers. Remember the Balls and their dad? His dad had a big mouth and I think really hurt his stock, But he had a high ceiling, or I should say he has a high ceiling, so maybe they'll roll with him for a year. Who knows?
Well, it just, to me, again, we talked about it with the Lions, and we have a defined culture now, and you know what they're going to do based on their culture. And the Saints, barring some up and down seasons, they still have a really good culture there. They know how to draft. Their fan base is strong. A team like the Saints, just they didn't even draft Drew Brees. I mean, so it's somebody like that kind of is known for winning without ever having to draft a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, but you also don't have
some of these teams. That's their identity.
You don't have a Drew Brees kind of just fall into your lap very often, man. That was a fantastic move for everyone involved, except for the Chargers, I guess.
True.
Derek Carr.
Well, they got a new coach.
Yeah, Pete Carroll, right?
No, Kellen Moore.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. And he's kind of a
Former Lion.
quarterback whisperer a little bit, I guess.
I would say so. Yeah, that was his position, and that's what he's known for. He had a lot of success with when he was in Dallas. You saw what's happened with Dak Prescott and the passing and the running game with Kellen Moore leaving. So I think when you've got a young new coach and you still have a lot of dogs on the defense, it's going to buy you a year or two to find your franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
So I would say don't look for them to make any big trades. Um, Nobody's going to trade with Cleveland. You're sitting on 5 quarterbacks who nobody wants.
So,
I don't
do
know.
you think that Carr kind of screwed him in a sense where, like, announcing his retirement now, or do you think the franchise knew? I feel like if they knew, they may have drafted a little differently, but I mean, I guess they knew he was going to be unavailable to start the year, and I think Rattler would have been a fine plug and play for a while. But if you were the Saints, would you be pissed if you didn't know this was coming?
I would again like to think, given the fact that Derek Carr seems to be a very professional person and the Saints organization seems to be pretty normal, that when you've got $30 million of guaranteed money that they don't have to pay him next year, that's a conversation they're having with him and saying, hey, man, you do what you got to do. We'll pay you, but what are you going to do? Because you're going to be out next year on IR basically. We'll pay you your guaranteed money, but what the hell are you going to do?
Yeah.
And he's 34.
Yeah.
What kind of leverage does he have to even hold out or be a dick, or who benefits from that, right? So I just think it's one of those business decisions that's done behind in the back office. It's not as dramatic as we think it is. And they said that, hey, I want to even say in the article that the team kind of gave him a deadline. He talked it over with his wife and family, and they gave him an answer. And I think it was just one of those shake your hands and move on.
So this wasn't out of left field. They knew that this was likely, I suppose.
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't seem like it was out of left field.
Yeah.
So, I think it works out because Derek Carr, he didn't have a lot left in the tank, especially with the shoulder injury. He's getting to 35, and once you hit 35 and beyond for a quarterback, your value is going to drop off unless you have won a ring, and he hasn't. So he kind of put himself out of that conversation to continue like an Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, 34, 35 for a QB is certainly not unheard of. There's a lot of guys in the league that are starting in their mid to late 30s, but he's not one of those guys that it's an Iron Man. He's been injured throughout his career.
Yep. So I think that's going to be interesting to watch what New Orleans does, because the conversation for them will be, are we tanking for Manning, right? Arch Manning next year in the 2026
God, that would just be like a storybook move, right? Like Manning, grandson of Archie coming in to take the Saints to the Super Bowl, right?
Will Hitch have the Saints ever just traded away the farm for one player historically?
Yeah, right. It resulted in an organizational teardown and rebuild, but yes, they have.
I didn't ask if it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Even Ricky goes, I wouldn't have done that for me. No, I think, man, this might be one of those things we can call right now on the podcast for next year, is that the Saints end up having a middle of the average season, like a 500-esque season, and then trade the farm for Manning. But
interesting.
We're a year away from that conversation.
Yeah, we're a ways away from a lot of conversations we should have. We have to see this rookie training camp started. We still obviously are going to have to make cuts and get down to 53, but soon enough we'll give our predictions for the Lions. We'll give our predictions for the NFC, but there's just a lot that's going to happen roster-wise between now and, beginning of August, I guess.
Yeah, there's still big names out there that can help a lot of franchises that are healthy. Not all of them are north of 30 either. So I think the folks like Zadarius Smith, once you see names like him sign his deal, Not even just him himself, but that pay
Right.
level. Once you see that go out and say, okay, the what is going to be the top tier money that you get post NFL draft for a veteran? Once one of those guys signs a deal, right? We're going to know what the market looks like. We're going to know how the chips fall.
And
I wouldn't expect Brad Holmes to set that market.
no, Brad Holmes isn't necessarily going to ever set a market. I mean, they gave Kirby Joseph a buttload of money, but
Well deserved.
he's going to try to extend these guys as much as he can during season and everything before someone else goes out sets the market. I mean, we're going to have to pay Hutch a ton of money. That market has been set again or reset again. But Brad does this, right? He extends, a year out.
I'm not even worried about paying Hutch or setting the market for that because that's just a given. And Hitch, in my eyes, that's the same conversation we had when we drafted Jared Goff and we said he's the highest paid quarterback.
Traded for.
He's not even in the top freaking 10. Sorry, traded for. He's not even in the top 10 now as highest paid quarterback.
Yeah,
so
that changes every time somebody gets a deal. And it's going to be, that's how the NFL is now. Every time a premier player gets a deal, they set the market. And Brad, I think, what he did with Amon-Ra St. Brown, what he did with McNeil, what he did with, he's going to have to do with Gibbs. He already did it with Montgomery. He extends these guys based on the seasons that they had, and he is yet to really reset the market, except for Joseph. Is Joseph now the highest paid safety?
he is.
Yeah.
He is.
But Joseph earned it.
He
He's a
is.
ball hawk. He's a playmaker. He generates turnovers. He plays single high. He plays low. He's probably one of the top 2 or 3 safeties in the game at this point, honestly. So
his trajectory with his stats is putting him on an Ed Reed level. Let's put it that way.
That's
with his interceptions, with
that's
his
saying something.
Everything you just named,
Yep.
right? It does say something. It says you're worth locking up.
Yeah, it'll take years. Time will tell. But is he the Ed Reed? Is he the Troy Polamalu? Or is he like the Cam Chancellor? Not to say that Cam Chancellor wasn't badass, but he's not in that upper echelon, if you will, the top 3, 4, 5 to ever do it. And like you just said, Kirby is on that trajectory to be in that top 4 or 5 conversation.
Just need Kirby to get a body wash and hair soap commercial, and then he'll be really at that Troy Polamalu level.
Yep.
I'm looking at the list of these available free agents now, just thinking to myself, okay, so who's out there top 10 that would entice somebody to go out there and set the market? And
I don't think anyone's out there now
no,
that is going to
there
be
isn't.
the table setter. And there isn't anyone available ever really at this point in time where anyone at this juncture is going to have to go out and really break the bank. There's guys out there, and let's talk about Smith. There's this rumor, this ever-present rumor that he's just waiting to sign here, right, or to re-sign here. He's got a lot of roots in Detroit now. One of the UDFAs that we signed after the draft, a wide receiver, is his nephew. He's at all the Pistons games. He's dating a native Detroiter. It makes a lot of sense for him to come back.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm typing his name in just to kind of see where the latest rumors are, and it does make a lot of sense, but it also makes a lot of sense if the Jets overpay him and he goes with
Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, I never even thought about that, but that would be a fit. But it's not like they ever played together. It's not like he was coached by him for a long time. He was here for eight or 9 games plus a playoff game. So there is no real tie there with the Jets. There is the Aaron Glenn thing, but I think if he had to choose,
fair. No, that's a fair point. You're right. He came here. He was traded here to and was excited to play with Detroit, not to play under Aaron Glenn.
He got himself out of Cleveland. He got on the a roster that was contending. So if he really wanted to win a ring, would you go to the Jets with the first-year head coach, or would you come to the Lions?
I think I would have said anything to get myself out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to go to the Chiefs? What if the Chiefs call him and says, "We'll give you a comparable offer to the Lions. We just need you to pin back and rush."
Right.
I mean,
I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think by not signing, because I do believe that he probably had offers, like quality offers, but by not signing, I think it speaks to the fact that he's waiting to see where he can land. I don't think he would go to a team that wasn't a contender, right? I think he would go to Green Bay. I think he would go to the Rams. I think he would come back to Detroit. I think at this point
I feel like he felt like the Green Bay Packers did him dirty. He just seemed like that. I don't know. Maybe it was me, misinterpretation, but I felt like he left that organization salty.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that he had such a history with them. But what I'm saying is he's looking for a contender. He wants a 53-man spot on a contending roster. If he wanted to
Fair
just
enough.
make money, he could have signed, I think.
Well, Jadeveon Clowney was released by the Panthers, so you tell me, which one are you picking?
Out of those two, Smith.
Are you waiting to re-sign Smith to see if guys like Clowney start getting cut so that the market becomes a little bit more flooded and you don't have to be as aggressive?
I mean, I think at this rate, there's always going to be surprise camp cuts, right? But I think at this point in time, we don't have to necessarily worry about the size of the value of a contract that we would be giving somebody now. And I mean, no one is going to cut a superstar at this point. The cap casualties have already happened. There's going to be guys on the bubble because of the incoming draft classes, but
Well, hold on. Let me ask you this. Let's say the Jets go out. Oh, how about this? What are you willing to pay Zadarius Smith? 1 year. What's a fair amount?
oh gosh, I would have to really look at the
Shoot me a number. You don't have to be dead nuts on.
1 year, 13-ish million, 4 or 5 of it guaranteed, I suppose. I could
one
be,
year, let's go with 1 year, 13
I
million.
could be
No,
way
that's
off.
just for my exercise. 1 year, 13 million, let's say, which I think is a fair number to pay him. But now that guys like Jadeveon Clowney are cut, and the Jets go out and pay 1 year, 15 million for Clowney, are you now going to say you could pay him 1 year, 10 million? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But he's in the
allows
driver's
us.
seat. He's in the driver's seat right now. A guy like Smith is in the driver's seat where if he wants competitive pay for 1 year, he could get it. Maybe he wants to come back, but who knows?
We're both, I think, on the side that he wants to come back too. So, yeah, that's one that we can kind of keep an eye on. I don't think I think you're right. I don't think there's going to be the needle moving on this shit at all for at least the next month or so. They don't have to. There's no point, right?
No, the roster sizes are huge for minicamp. They have time.
Yeah, they've got plenty of time.
Yeah,
No, we got options. We got options.
for sure.
Oh, hey, so Bob actually had a question for you. Totally not Maple Leafs, but he wanted to know if you know how many teams Jerome Jager's played for.
Oh gosh. I'm probably way off, but I think I would want to say 4.
You're thinking 4?
Yeah. Is it like
You wanna double that and
Is
add
it
a
like
few?
13 or some shit?
It's 11.
Oh man.
This is crazy. I think he asked this question too, just to get me all pissed off too, because Trombley loves to. I don't even know. He just loves to piss me off, and I get it. I do the same thing to him, but he loves Jerome Jager, and he's like, "Oh, Jager's the best. Jager's the best." I'm like, the guy just didn't stop playing. Anybody that's played that long is bound to have some records. I don't care.
It is the question is always is it talent or is it attrition? And I think you can look at football.
Talent over time.
Yeah, you can look at football, and the argument is always going to be who's the best running back. Is it Walter? Is it Barry? Is it Emmitt Smith? And if you go with the yardage, and if you just go with the numbers, it's Emmitt, right? But I don't think you can always just look at the numbers because Emmitt played so much longer. Emmitt played behind a better offensive line. He was on better
Barry.
teams. Yeah, it's Barry or Walter. That's a really hard one for me to land on, just squarely saying Barry. I want to. He's gifted for sure. He's amongst the best that ever did it, but you can't take Walter Payton out of the question.
You can't, but I'm telling you, in my eyes, this is the way you have to start having these arguments because we've had enough time now elapsed to where there's so many generational greats where you have to look at our era, right? The time that we were alive watching it, our generation. I don't. Well, you may have been old enough to watch Walter Payton, but I didn't watch Walter Payton play. So, in my eyes, the conversation is Barry versus Emmett, right? Jordan versus Kobe. They played in the same time together. You can't do the Jordan versus LeBron argument. You can, but you can't have that ultimate discussion because they're kind of two different eras. So that's the way I like to look at these conversations. Rather than all time. Like when I think of all time, my time, the time I was alive. Because I'm not going to sit here and make an argument for Walter Payton when I never watched him play. I know he's great. I've watched all the highlights, but to me, Barry, it's an easy question. It's Barry.
Go down the list then. Like that's an interesting way to look at it. If you look at the players that you were able to really watch play,
yeah,
who would be your top 5
that I've ever watched play in Detroit sports or in general?
Football, not college, NFL. Top 5.
Top 5 in the NFL players that I've got the privilege of watching play that were just lights out. That is a good question. Okay, so Calvin Johnson, watching him play was probably one of the most interesting players I've ever got to watch because defenses had to change the way they played him. Right? And not to say that there hasn't been a ton of great big wide receivers out there. There has. But Megatron was on another level because defensive coordinators had no idea what to do. They had to scheme goal line defense on him. Matthew Stafford basically just said, if I looked at him and he got free, I just threw the ball up and I know he was getting it. So to me, it was Calvin as number 1. Number 2, that would obviously be Barry. We got to put Barry in there, obviously. So Barry and Calvin. I feel like those are easy, though, Hitch. They really are.
I'm taking some notes as you're talking here, and yes, Calvin Johnson was tremendously talented, generational talented, probably the greatest wide receiver in NFL history, honestly, if he would have played longer, right?
Yeah.
What I was getting at here is specifically running backs.
Oh, specific running backs. Okay.
I got a little list going too, and you can Google. I'm not going to penalize you for Googling.
My top 5 Lions running backs. Well, it would be Barry. It would be Gibbs is insanely special to watch. I think we have just cracked the surface on watching his explosive highlights. God, I know it was short-lived. I had a lot of fun watching Javid Best. I had a lot of hope for him. I really did.
I had a high hopes for Calvin Jones too, man. We've talked about him a couple weeks ago with that Liz Frank injury that ended his career. Nowadays would have been, miss a season, come back stronger. He had some real potential, man.
Yeah, Kevin Jones was fun to watch. I believe Dolan's brother has a signed Kevin Jones jersey.
I was with Dolan when they drafted him at Dolan's house watching the draft, and he went bananas, dude. Yeah, he loved that guy.
Who went bananas? His brother?
Dolan. Dolan loved that guy.
Oh, Dolan, yeah. Dude, Dolan still has this obscure wide receiver glove signed by Herman Morris that he just, every time we'd watch the draft, he'd lay it out there dude. And casually just put it on and take it off. And
that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, Dolan has some obscure, funny stuff. I wish he still had his Tennessee Titans shades that were in his room as a child.
Nice. Let me see. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I got 10. So very quickly here, without a ton of thought going into this, I came up with my top 10. Not just Lions though, across the league.
Oh God, it just keeps changing as you ask me this question.
No, maybe I
Go
just didn't
ahead.
make myself clear, but Walter and Barry are A1 and A2. You can't, in my mind, really delineate much between those guys. A little bit of a different style, obviously, and for how little they both were in stature, they would just truck people. They could juke, spin,
Right.
one cut, gone. They were special. They were absolutely the two greatest to ever do this. And then
3 and 4.
just by attrition and by just staying power and his desire to be the number one yards leader, you have to mention Emmitt Smith. I don't really like the guy.
No, that's
I
fair.
think it took away.
He did his
Yeah,
job.
he did it very effectively behind an awesome offensive line. And then I think it took away from the legacy a little bit that he had to go over to Arizona to stay in the league to get the yards, right? But you can't
Yeah, that was a little cheesy, but whatever.
can't deny what he did. And then the bus, dude, Jerome Bettis was just awesome. Loved to watch him. Hated when we had to play against him. He was involved in that crazy Thanksgiving coin flip debacle back in the day against Detroit.
Yeah.
And then a personal favorite of mine, probably too high up this list, John Riggins, man. John Riggins, like he changed the way that teams defended against the run. I put him in this class of like almost alone, but I think I would say Christian Okoye is in that class. Didn't do it. Christian Okoye didn't do it for as long, I don't think, but they were just gigantic, slow, bruising running
Hitch.
backs.
John Riggins.
From
I love how old
from
you
Washington, man. He was awesome. I think he wore number 41 or 44. The guy was awesome.
He went into the Hall of Fame in '92.
Yeah, so it was in our lifetime. I can remember, I think, watching John Riggins. Maybe it's a false memory, but I've watched so many highlights, so many YouTube, so many documentaries. The guy was just a tank, right?
I think I would have probably been -9 when he was playing. John Riggins. Listen, how about LaShawn McCoy? That's somebody that popped up into my
He's
head.
on the list.
As far as watching play, he was. I don't have to bring up the Snow Bowl in Detroit,
Right.
or in Philadelphia, but I loved watching him run. I don't know, him and Alvin Kamara are two guys that I just love watching
Alvin
run.
Kamara, off the top of my head, did not make my list, but he has to be in the conversation. As you say that,
Okay.
I have worse running backs than him on this list, but Marshawn Lynch, of course, is on my list.
100%. 100%.
Maurice Jones-Drew is on my list. Some of these guys with the nicknames, too. You got Shady McCoy. You got the Muscle Hamster. You can't ignore a sweet nickname like the Muscle Hamster, right? Priest Holmes, Jamal Charles, both picked up a lot of yardage with the Chiefs. I think
Excellent
Priest
choices.
Holmes wound up on some of those really good Baltimore teams, if I recall correctly. And then I know I said I had 10, but as we're talking here, I added Eddie George to the list. Eddie George is one of my
What about Clinton Portis?
Clinton Portis, for sure, dude. Clinton Portis, he has a weird story after his retirement. He got himself into some real big trouble that never got arrested or anything, but I think there's a 30 for 30 about him. And it was kind of mind-blowing to me, the stuff that he was up to, and nobody had any idea. But back to
What was Clinton Portis up
back
to?
to Eddie George, though. I'm a little biased because I always liked the Oilers and the Titans and that whole McNair era, the almost winning that Super Bowl against the Rams. When I was a kid, it just hit at the right time. And Eddie George, man, he was just a powerhouse. He was a tank. Ohio State product too, I believe, but he should be higher up my
One
list.
of Dolan's favorite.
Is it? Yeah. That team, those Titans teams that he was on, man, they were awesome. Dyson and Frank Wycheck and Al Del Greco, a lot of future, if not already Hall of Famers on that team, I think. And then Jeff Fisher was coaching them, and they lost that Super Bowl by 1 yard. At that time in my life, that was probably the most entertaining Super Bowl I'd ever seen. So,
Likewise.
yeah, a lot of fond memories around the Titans and Eddie George.
What about Marion Barber, dude?
Yeah, man, there's so many of these names that were so impactful in our lifetime, but probably don't make the list, the Mount Rushmore, or the list of the top, 12, 15, maybe even not top 20, but that still puts, if someone finishes their career running back 24 or 26, that puts them in rarefied air.
It
Uh,
does. It does.
yeah.
It
But
does.
we could talk about this all day. We could go down the list every position. I mean, there's always been great players in football, but I feel like in the last 25 years or so, these guys just keep getting faster, keep getting stronger. Guys that would have been more likely to go and play basketball are now coming to play football, and the athletes just keep getting better, and these numbers keep getting higher.
Well, let's think about the way this position once and just this position alone has changed. The running back. I mean, you used to just be a Jerome Bettis. You were a bowling ball. You grabbed the ball right here and you ran up the
Yep.
middle. Then it moved into, okay, can you catch the ball? Right. That was just a benefit of, can you catch the ball? Now you have to catch the ball. Now you have to run up the
And
middle.
the pass
Now,
blocking,
can you
the
block?
pass
Right.
blocking too.
I mean, the pass blocking is
Some
huge.
of the guys, some
right?
of the guys on my list are famous for their ability to pass block and chip block, and there's nothing better than watching a game live and seeing the pocket starting to collapse, and then just watching a 5'8" running back smoke somebody on a blind side. Yeah,
stand somebody
yeah,
straight
just
up, and
chip
you're
them.
like,
That
oh,
that
thank you.
whole like wheel route where they can stop, chip with their shoulder, and keep going. And when you got that blindside momentum and you do that shoulder chip, low man wins. And when you're 5'8", you're already the lower man.
Well, that's the beauty of the passing game being such a big option now and being such a heavy focal point is it's opened these positions up for guys like running backs and tight ends to increase value with their pass
Yep.
blocking, right? I mean, we're drafting, we've got one or two tight ends on our team that it's just for pass blocking.
Yep. Oh yeah.
When they go out there, they're going to catch the ball maybe more in the end zone on the 4 or 5 yard shot. But let's be honest, that's what they're out there for, is to give our quarterback more
Right.
time.
The evolution of tight end in the NFL in the last 15 or 20 years might have been the funnest for me to watch. It went from a few guys in this league that could really catch passes, the Sterling Sharps and the Shannon Sharps and guys like that. But that was more or less the glorified receiver who was really good at blocking, right? The guy in college that
Yep.
was maybe even a wide receiver, but in the NFL, a little bit too slow, a little bit too lumbering, and they taught themselves how to block, right? But then in the last 20, 15, 20, 25 years, you're seeing this evolution in the tight end position where it's more than just putting them in motion to get them off of the line of scrimmage. A lot of these successful teams are using their tight ends like a fourth and fifth wide receiver. You get teams that have two very effective tight ends now, teams that pay two tight ends top tier kind of money, and the versatility of having that on either edge or putting that in motion and using them as your slot wide receiver. The evolution of tight end in the NFL has just been awesome to watch.
You know what else has been awesome to watch is how your brother has just been slaying everybody with these
You know
Kevin
what? And
Bacon
I think
requests.
he just texted me. He's probably going to tell me that he's busy
Good.
or something. He said,
Wayne,
I asked him if he wanted to join. He said, how do I do that? And then he said, I'm filthy right now. I think he's gardening or something. I'm gonna ask him
Okay.
what his email is.
Yeah, I'll just get his email and I'll send him the link and he can hop
Yeah, I'll
on
tell him it's
if he
there,
wants
and if
to.
he wants
but
to hop on and answer this question he's been ducking, right? About
pretty epic, man. Pretty epic when Wayne texts me and within 5 minutes later there's an answer back with a screenshot and Wayne's response was he's a Rain
oh yeah,
Man.
dude, he is the movie savant. But he's been ducking me.
He's
Been
savant.
ducking me. I asked him on that Facebook thread about Howie Long, and I think if I had a minute to think about this, I think I could link him. He's been in a couple big. Howie Long is, of course, the Hall of Fame tight end from the defensive end from the Raiders. He's been in a couple blockbuster movies from the late '90s, mid to late '90s. So I think it can happen. But he's ducking me. He's ducking us. So we'll see.
Do you think he's nervous?
No, I don't know. I don't know if he doesn't want to admit that he doesn't know who Howie Long is, or maybe he doesn't remember that Howie Long was in Broken Arrow or Firestorm or some big movies back in the day. I think it's very doable.
Well, You think
Yeah.
so? I think he sounds like he's nervous if he's ducking you. I mean, he seems like his response time is pretty good.
We'll see. We'll see if he hops on here. But he's
All
becoming
right,
a
well,
little.
While we're waiting for him, why don't we take a quick commercial break and maybe sign off and start another episode? What do you
Yeah,
think?
give me 5 minutes to refill my water, and I'll shoot you a text, and we can jump back on.
Sounds
All right.
good. All right, well, everybody, thanks for listening, and I hope you guys have a lovely evening, and stay tuned for the following Tuesday at 6:30 for the next episode of Hitch's Playhouse.
Deuces.